Maine Republican Senator Susan Collins speaking on behalf of the 9 Republican senators who just left the White House a short time ago. They were meeting with President Biden to hear his case for a $1.9 trillion relief bill while advancing their version of a bill which is about a third of the size and attempting to negotiate in the spirit of bipartisanship and unity that the president ran on. Here's the thing. Biden's larger COVID relief bill is already unifying. It is massively popular with the majority of the American people. It already has bipartisan support. For example, here's the Republican governor, Jim Justice of West Virginia, a state Trump won by nearly 70%.
At this point in time in this nation, we need to go big. We need to quit counting the egg-sucking legs on the cows and count the cows and just move forward and move right now. We need to go big, and if we waste some money now, well, we waste some money. But absolutely, we've got too many people hurting, and the economy is going to sputter, and we've got to get ourselves out of this mess, and it's the way we need to go right now.
I'm joined now by the incoming chair of the Senate Budget Committee, Senator Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont. And I was very struck, Senator, by Jim Justice of West Virginia making that case in a few different places today. I mean, that is one of Trump's best states in the union. He is a Republican, and it was interesting to me that he feels the need to be so vocal about it.
Look, as you've indicated, we are in the midst of the most unprecedented set of crises in the modern history of this country. And the governor of West Virginia understands that. I mean, we're talking about people who have lost their jobs, can't feed their families, Chris. People are worried about being evicted. 90 million people who are uninsured and underinsured in the midst of this terrible pandemic. We are losing 3,000 people every single day from the virus. Our kids are unable to go to school. You have a significant uptick in mental illness because of all of this separation that people, can't be with their families, can't be with their friends. This is a terrible moment. And the governor is right. Now is not the time to count pennies. Now is the time to address these monumental crises. And I think what the president is proposing is a very good start in doing that.
What is your response to understanding of this group of 9 senators on the Republican side who made this counterproposal at, a third of the total cost and met with the president today?
Well, I'm glad that the president met with Republicans. We want to continue to have a dialogue, and there are going to be issues coming down the pike where I think you're going to see some bipartisan efforts. For example, Republicans understand that our infrastructure is crumbling and we can create millions of good-paying jobs, rebuilding our roads and bridges and affordable housing. Republicans, or at least a number of them, understand that it's absurd that on some cases we're paying 10 times more than other countries for prescription drugs. We got to lower the cost of prescription drugs. So there are a number of areas where I think we have the potential to work together. Remember, this is the first reconciliation bill. There'll be another one coming soon after this one is passed. But right now, what the Republicans are talking about is just totally inadequate to meet the unprecedented crises that we are facing.
So you just mentioned reconciliation, which is a budgetary process that has, I believe, formally begun in both houses. And because of Senate rules, it means that it is not filibusterable, right? You can simple majority bill. Brian Schatz, your colleague, said the following. He said, regular people don't care whether we pass something with 51 votes or 60. Do you agree?
Absolutely. Look, what goes on inside the Beltway is unfathomable to many of us inside the Beltway. Nobody in the outside world understands it. You want to talk about bird rules? Good luck. All right. The bottom line is the American people are hurting, and they're hurting badly. And Chris, what worries me is so many, by the millions, of our people are giving up on democracy. They really do not believe that the government is listening or understands their pain and can respond. That is what we have got to do right now.
So I agree with your view of this and Senator Schatz about whether 51 or 60 votes. The big question, though, is, are you confident you have the Democratic caucus together, right? Because this is a diverse caucus. You got folks from West Virginia and Arizona and 2 new senators from Georgia, and then you've got folks from California. Do you think you can hold the caucus together, you and your colleagues, for a reconciliation vote on a package of this size?
Well, Leader Schumer has been working 24/7 on just that issue, and I think we will, because at the end of the day, every member of the Democratic caucus, no matter what their differences may be, and look, I have differences and concerns about this bill. In my judgment, it doesn't go far enough.
Right.
Other people have different concerns. But at the end of the day, we all come from states. We are sick and tired of seeing hundreds of cars lining up for food, kids unable to go to school, people not getting the vaccines as rapidly as they should. We all share that in common. And second of all, Chris, we are the majority right now because two great candidates ran in Georgia. And that Georgia election really became a national election, and promises were made in that election, not just by the candidates, but by many of us. And what we said is, if you elect Democrats and we take control, we're going to get you, $1,400 on top of the $600. We're going to extend unemployment. We're going to significantly increase the child tax credit. We're going to get money to states and cities. We are going to deal with education. Those were the promises made, and it would be totally unacceptable for any Democrat to renege on those promises. That is why people are giving up on the political process.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.